Good, we get to my report. Good. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comments and inputs. We have Billy. McCollum.
Unfortunately, I thought I had a conversation last month we put on a list, but apparently that was misinterpreted or whatever. Just wanted to say thanks to the board. We've been here since July of 2018. Since then, we developed a relationship with the police department, sheriff department, fire department, Walmart, and Menards. You guys came to our Christmas party. Unfortunately, our lease is not extended. We did have conversations and made financial guarantees, but those were not accepted as either. So just want to say that our relationship with the board, that as we thought it to be, was a good relationship. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to grow the business here at Elmwood Park. We did appreciate it. When we first started, our desire was to acquire 4 of the 5 buildings here. We did make offers here, pay up to $100,000 a year. That were rejected. Consequently, we did continue with our plans elsewhere, and that's thriving. We hate to be moving. It was not our focus. But again, just wanted to let you guys know and let you know we appreciate the opportunity to grow here and hope to see you guys in the future as we continue to grow our company. That's about it.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Crown Jewel Academy.
Okay.
We own Crown Jewel Academy. From here, started as Crown Jewel Academy. We turned into also the Crown Jewel Christian Services. We bought 2 churches here in Racine since we started here. And the assisted living center that we wanted to start here, we actually put it at another location. So, unfortunately.
Well, good luck.
Have a nice day.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks, Billy. Let's call any other public comments. All right. Moving forward then, I will be looking for a motion to consent the agenda and the previous meeting minutes.
Make a motion to consent the previous minutes from 6/10/2021. And consent the agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
First by Johnson, second by Gasser. Discussion. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? You guys have it, so passed. 1 month off, really does throw me on. So, moving on then, presentation of the 2021 Beautification Award for Peter and Mary Bach. Obviously, everyone's aware that Trustee Black had a big hand in this process, and she's not here. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But everyone should be familiar with the Beautification Award at this point. I'll pass this off to just the field.
We're actually going to have Brian Carroll say a few words if you can. Okay.
Yes, as you know, Patricia Black, Trustee Patricia Black, asked us to substitute for her because she couldn't be here. I was one of the 3 people on the committee, the nominating committee, included Patricia, Louise Williams, and myself, and Brad in the photograph. So, anyway, which is the reason why we're doing this. The award was started for 2 purposes. One was to recognize people like the Bachs who improved their property so tremendously, and the second was to encourage other people to do the same. So I don't know if any of you remember what the Bachs property was like when they bought it, but believe me, it was really in bad shape. So they have done a complete transformation. So they truly deserve this award. It's really looking so good. So, yes.
Here we go.
This is it.
I love all your drawings.
So here's your official award. You guys want to come up with President Rossi? We'll take a picture for you.
All right.
Now that I'm in the driveway.
Right, I do the same thing.
So this reads that Peter and Mary Rock, 3330 South Elmwood Drive, have been awarded the 2021 Beautification Award for the Village of Elmwood Park, Wisconsin. The Beautification Award is given to those in the community who go above and beyond the stated ordinances of the village to take pride in their home and beautify their. Cool. You guys want to stand over here, maybe in the middle?
They Photoshop the grass.
Yeah.
Wait, is this not green now?
Blue and I'll just step to the side.
Oh, you're good. All right.
I thought, I didn't see.
Everybody look happy. Smile, big smile. So new this year.
Animal.
So new this year are these fancy signs. It's up to you how long you want that to be in your yard.
It's already been in
But
there
it's-
too long.
But it's there.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank
Good
you.
job,
Is
congratulations.
this hang up in here?
No, you had.
For you.
Yes.
To remember forever.
Sure you don't.
Even
That's what you
grass.
put- That's what you put in there. You walk by, it's like, okay, I see the hard work. I see all the man. Other drives to the store.
Nice job, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks, Brad and Carol.
Oh, they're for you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Service.
Now you lost our interest right there.
Gotta go
A
eat.
lot of exciting content, you could say.
Yeah.
Actually,
Better.
it'll be quicker without us here. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Report, sheriff's report, please.
All right. Well, I need to bring these to pass them out to you guys every time. Do you like having them in your hand? You get them.
I like seeing the long ones, you know, the actual.
We just feel like we're part of the SWAT team.
It gives me something to do.
We just feel like we're all SWATties here, come on.
All right, in the month of July 2021, deputies spent more than 4 hours in the village. Throughout the month, they conducted 26 crime preventions in the village of Elmwood Park. They also addressed 1 fireworks violation, 2 burglar alarms, 1 hit-and-run accident. Deputies conducted several traffic stops, including 4 speeding citations, 1 operating with a suspended license, 2 operating vehicle registration violations, and 2 operating a vehicle without insurance citation. Should be it. Deputies continue to maintain an active presence in the village of Elmwood Park. Assigned deputies as well as area guard will continue to safeguard residential areas, ensure business security after hours, and conduct traffic prevention and enforcement in the spirit of community policing. In July, deputies did spend 4 hours of billable time in the village for an invoice total of $238.4.
Questions?
Questions?
No.
Quiet now. For 2 months. Oh, except for the fireworks.
Good. I actually was, as I was reading this, I was like, well, 1 fireworks violation is not bad because on the 4th of July, usually we have non-everywhere, so maybe people just didn't know.
The 2 weeks
It went bad.
So we come to expect it everywhere, but I mean, I can tell you our call list is just fireworks violation.
Yeah, they weren't bad this year, I mean.
Make it, we know your neighbors and fireworks.
I didn't hear. I do, seriously, our power was out on the 4th of July, and so we sat back here and watched some people light off some fireworks, and we're, this is better than North Beach.
All right.
Questions from?
All right, guys, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. President's report.
Stay safe, Laura.
Thank you.
So the road project is obviously substantially completed. The remaining item is landscape restoration, and we were holding off because some additional items came up that need to be corrected before we restore the lawns. I think we're there. This week kind of was lost time because of the rain. So that should be rounding out then towards the end of next week.
So are you saying that they'll start it next week?
Yeah.
Okay, I've had many people ask and said I think that's fine. Thanks.
And then the, right now, just, I it's a little preliminary, but there is a substantial, it's not so much a savings, it's just a matter of unexpensed items on our budget for the road repairs, replacement. So we were at, what was it, around 800,000 for a total cost?
750.
750, good, with odds and ends, so somewhere around 800. Since we had about 30% of the roadways, assuming we're gonna have to take out bad soils, so we call EDS, excavation plus upgrade. So we had 30% to the tune of around $270,000. We use 3% of that. So the rest of it is not expense. So we are saving 250 plus thousand right now on the road project.
That's great.
Yes, it is amazing to me. The board is surprised as well because the borings did not look good. And this is just a matter of when they pulverize the road. So if you pulverize a 4-inch section, you get like 4.5, 5 inches of base. And that really made a big difference. So that was enough. We didn't really have to do anything other than a few bad areas that had to be excavated and replaced. But otherwise, it was a complete success. The storm system seems to be performing very well.
Well tested this week.
Oh, I drove through afterwards. I mean, there is nothing on the roads. I see no ponding in any of the green spaces. This just went great. So a few odds and ends that we got to button up over the next week, and then we're done.
That's great. So phase 2, will that be next summer then?
I would, see, we could roll right into phase 2. What my concern with rolling right into phase 2, even though we're extremely under budget, is that when we talked about this before, we wanted to stagger everything so that we don't get into a situation where, again, all the roads are bad at the same time.
Yeah.
So my 2 cents on it is wait 2 years at least so we can start to stagger it, because the rest of the remaining areas aren't that bad. We hit the bad areas. I would say next year we look at a larger maintenance budget, throw some money at Green Meadows Lane.
I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
my neighbors are old and they are.
Those control joints are pretty bad, so if we go after those next year, we're gonna be in great shape. I mean, that's.
Can they just be filled in or is that more?
They cut them out and then they remake them.
Okay.
Those are all things like, when people ask me questions, and not just me, for people, and I'm like, it's phase 2, but I don't know when that's happening, so
So
now.
if you remember in your financial projections,
Yes.
phase 2 really wasn't gonna happen until 2024.
Okay.
Because that's when the complex debt
Yeah.
was gonna fall off and you're gonna borrow again.
Yeah.
So I would say you have 2 bonuses. One is that you save so much money with this round. 2, if you've been following Step Along High, the federal infrastructure bill is gonna end up with some sort of money for roads that's gonna go to every municipality.
Yeah.
We don't know what that looks like yet, but assuming you get a chunk of that plus this money would be helpful then 2 years from now.
Okay,
It's just good to know that we can look at our neighbors and say, listen, it's coming. Another year or so, I know it sucks for some of it because of their age, but, all that means is slow your ass down.
I think if you explain it to them, like what Ray just did, we staggered it purposely,
Yeah.
so that it all doesn't come due at the same time in however many years.
Yeah.
So we're thinking ahead, sort of.
No, honestly, I think we're doing great planning.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Just we're all at the mercy of future boards
I know.
And
to maintain those plans.
anybody that asks questions, just direct them to Ernie, because I had a couple questions, and I was like, Ernie, I'm an English teacher, I can honestly say, Ernie knows this better than I do, so you need to talk to Ernie.
Yeah, most of the complaints I heard were people really just unfamiliar with the process. They're applying what they've seen to road construction, which isn't necessarily hold, but otherwise, no, I see no issues at this point with the majority of what was done.
One question I did get is the landscaping part. So what's gonna happen is it gonna be just seeded?
Yeah, well, they're gonna add, it's the minimum 4 inches of topsoil over
Okay.
anything that's like stone or
Sure.
shell or anything like that.
Okay.
And they seed, and it's up to it's the responsibility of the resident then to water.
Keep the water sure.
That's about it. Other than there is some issue we are having with the streetlights. We have spent a lot of time today on that, and other days. It seems to be some issue with the feed to all the lights east of Taylor, or Lathrop, Taylor, excuse me, are fed from the same source. So at some point along North Elmwood, near my house actually, there is a break in the line which is causing all sorts of shenanigans, which myself, 2 electricians, and Tim have been tracking and trying to resolve, understand and resolve over the last week. So we're going to spend a little bit more time on that, but right now our hunch is that when excavation happened on North Elmwood west of Standish, that the line was damaged. So we're trying to figure out how to repair that and then allocate a little bit of blame on that one. It really comes down to when the electric was placed for the first time, when they dug the trenches for the old storm system. Guess where they placed the electric?
On top.
The bottom of the trench.
So you can't even really access it?
Well, it's what we dug through the trench to put in the new one, and we
Right.
dug it in lower.
Okay.
So, in all fairness, I'm trying to understand how at fault DK is when it's something that really wasn't a great system to start with. So, we'll spend a little bit more time on it tomorrow, and then maybe next week some more to see if there's a quick fix to it, which I guess no at this point. You saw that Billy came in, his lease was supposed to end July 31st. It got extended. There was some discussion about he wasn't ready with his other facility, other reasons. We felt it in our best interest and somewhat his to extend the lease, modify the language of the lease to be in our favor due to the extension. And there was prepayment involved with the final leases. There was some outstanding water utility bills which we're still following up on. So, funny situation, but it's coming to an end, and I feel that there's as Billy was saying, wish we could have continued, we could come to an agreement on the future lease. So, over the last, Pat, I don't know what you know by now, or maybe not, that Pat is encountering some health issues, so she's going to be taking some time off. She's still very much on board. She's just going to be absent at the next few meetings, getting herself together and caring about her health. That's about it for me. All right, then, moving on, Trustee Barrios.
Nada.
All right. You'd like excused. Trustee Gasser.
Jen Hinkle and Dirty Dennis Goff and I met again a little bit. I might Ken come to the next meeting. The car show is so far ago. All is well. We also have the tour of homes taking place, the historic tour of homes taking place in the Village of Elmwood Park the day after the car show, so September 25th and 26th. And they'll be using some homes, the most homes in the village, the church, BB School, the memorial here for Taylor Complex, and then some home or two over here. So if you don't have anything to do, come out on the 25th and 26th. I'll talk about it again at the next board meeting. Hopefully COVID is not shutting anything down. And I'll just read what Pat said to me. I don't know if I really need to read this because not everybody's here, but she sent this to me last night and just said, please read this. I've taken a brief hiatus from my board responsibilities. I'm grateful for the support of several people who have temporarily taken over for me. My thanks to Laura Rude for delivering welcome packets to the villagers this month. Myself and Jen for encouraging me to opt out of events committee planning meetings for our 2021 Car Bike Show. Louise Williams and Carol Hansen for serving as judges for the 2021 Beautification Award. And to Brad, Jake, and Carol Hansen for donating their expertise in creating our 2021 photographic Beautification Award and for presenting this year's winners. I appreciate each of you. Thank you so much for supporting me during this time. I think you're terrific. See you in September. And just say lots of service for Pat, because I think she's just hoping things are going in the right direction.
So, for the car show, I reached out to all branches, all right, and because school has started, they've allocated most of their equipment to all their districts already, to the school.
That's fine.
So we may not have as much support.
So we, that's fine. We're trying to
I
get
need flyers.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of folks that live behind the village and over there.
So I'll
I
get
have
you
a lot
some.
of cars.
I'll get you some. I just got some more. I'm picking up tomorrow. We're not gonna have any food trucks, even though it says on the flyer. It was really hard to get food trucks this year. And Ken is gonna be cooking hot dogs. He's using the kitchen and he's gonna be cooking. He's agreed to cook. So we're basically gonna do any food straight from here, and that we'll buy the food, but then we'll make a profit, and the profit will go back to us. And then we're just getting donations from as many places as we can. So if you know of anybody that you're like, hey, I bet they donate to the car show, let me know. I'd love to find some more people. We've got Johnson has donated, the bar over here, not Champ Tap, but Dickie's Bar, I think Buckets gave us something, AC Auto Repair. I'm sure the car place up here. that
Is
they're-
there a letter that you provide them?
I wrote something up and sent it off to Rocket Wash, but I can present something that's looking for donations or things for good bags. So that's probably the trickiest part is getting people to donate right now, so, yeah. Yeah, so let me know if you have any questions about the car show. Should be good.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Hinkle?
Nothing major other than Chris and I did some inspections around looking for dead trees. We sent out 5 letters, 3 of which have handled their situation. So there's 2 trees left that need to be taken down, we can mark them. So if they're not done soon, we'll hire somebody and then add it to the taxes.
Is that the yellow axis?
Yes.
Right.
Perhaps you've seen it.
All right, then, trustee Johnson.
Besides what you mentioned, really nothing. When we met with Billy, was that last Friday? And we walked around and did a punch list of the roads. I think we covered most all of that, and it's all being handled.
Trustee Brood is excused. There is a letter here.
Yeah.
All right, then, Administrator Chambers.
All right. I'll just touch quick on the profit and loss statement that I printed out for you guys. Just want to highlight again, the gym rentals are, what is that now, 400 and some % above what we had estimated. Hall rentals, we've already beat our annual budget. I'll just touch on that Kendall Barrier, who's our new hall rental rep, is taking the bull by the horns and doing very well. So thank you to her for stepping up for the village. And then the rest of the stuff we'll get to with the resolutions later on. In my report, I've talked about the road stuff that we don't need to rehash. Ken and I's trips around the village regarding dead trees. We got a few different repair items that came up with the past couple months regarding the school and Taylor Complex that use a good amount of funds. But I'll include that we re-waxed the gym floor. And that was our first use of the ARPA funds. And that was beautiful down there, so if you ever have nothing better to do, I'm taking down to the gym, you can see how awesome it looks with coat of wax. And we're on schedule to have the hall done as well, so hopefully next time you come in for a meeting, you just won't even recognize the place. And then a lot of time is spent with the borrowing stuff that we'll be talking about later, so I'll cover that when we get there.
All right. Moving on then to new business. Resolution 2021-8, some other one of those. We have several resolutions, they're all accomplishing the same thing. Chris, you want to start?
Sure. Let's see, this first one, we're slightly under budget for the association dues and conventions. Long story short, the league increased their annual dues. We have to be a dues paying member, not only for my benefit of education, but in order to have our insurance that we have to be dues paying members. So that's it, just to correct that.
Just run through them all.
Okay, so that's 8. Number 9, 10, and 11 are all pulling from the loan interest category. If you look at that profit and loss statement, you'll notice that for some reason, and I don't really know why, we over budgeted in interest on our loan. The principal amount was correct, I don't know why the interest was off. But the plus is that we have $4,000 there that can get reallocated. So that's why you see the next three line items are all stealing from that. We've already paid all of our principal and loan payments and interest payments, so we're good for the year. B is just closing out the election wages and expenses that we have. C is carrying over for grounds maintenance stuff, and D is carrying over for killer conflicts. So again, as I referenced in my report, we had a good amount of expenses on the campus, so this is covering those differences. And the last resolution is just accepting the annual CMAR report that we had filed with the state. Now,
The CMAR is the
compliance.
maintenance and work. It's the state checking on us to make sure we're maintaining our utilities.
And I will say that a big project for Ernie and I to do together is something called CMOM, which is like our actual book of how our sewer system works and what will happen if it fails and emergency contacts and all that stuff. I don't know if you guys ever had CMOM, probably not. We're getting asked to put one together, so that's a fun project for Ernie and I to work on the rest of the year. So. I didn't downgrade us, moving now.
All right, any questions on anything? This is really just a balancing act.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to go through each one and speed motion all of these individually. So we're looking for a motion on resolution 2021-8.
I'll make a motion. Oh gosh, I'm bad at this. Brian, you do it.
I only wrote gaskets, so.
Okay, resolution 2021-8, a resolution authorizing the transfer of budgeted funds from one gas electric to associations and conventions.
All right, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
First by Gasser, second by Johnson. Discussion? No? Okay, good. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Guys have it, so passed. We're looking for motion on resolution 2021-9.
Make a motion for resolution 2021-9, resolution authorizing the transfer of budgeted funds from loan interest to electric election wages and expenses.
First by trustee Johnson, is there a second? Second by trustee Rios. Discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Guys have it, so passed. Ooh, that time where you made fun of me for saying burritos, it really screwed me up. Every time now, I stutter. Resolution 2021-10.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-10, a resolution authorizing the transfer of budgeted funds from loan interest to grounds maintenance.
We have a motion first by trustee Barrios. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Johnson. Discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Aye.
I like how you're each taking turns, so trustee Hinkle, you got the next one.
Okay.
Guys have it, so passed. Resolution, was that 10 we just did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Resolution 2021-11.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2021-11, a resolution authorizing the transfer of budgeted funds from loan interest to Taylor Complex.
We have a motion first by trustee Hinkle. Is there a second? Second by Barrios. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? You guys have it, so passed. All right, the last one, and let's hit it now. When you make a motion, correct me if I'm wrong, but you move, so you say, I move to approve resolution. It's just little.
Yes, I'll start it off.
Let's
I'll
give
make
it
a
shot.
motion.
Ah, you just did it.
Oh.
Nope, I make a move.
I move. So who's moved?
The words in front of you.
Trustee Johnson? is second.
Move the resolution. No, Brian, you go.
I move to make the resolution 2021-12.
I move to approve resolution.
Good. I move to
We're gonna get this.
approve resolution 21-12. Just think, I get to do the speech at my daughter's wedding on Saturday night. It's gotta be fun. All right, I make a motion to approve resolution 2021-12, a resolution accepting the submission of the 2020 CMAR report.
I think we have a motion, first by trustee Johnson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Hinkle, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, so passed. And then I forget for discussion. Okay, moving on. Discussion, possible decision on building number 4 AC repair. Very simple, AC on the A side of building 4 went out. It has to do with the cooling agent. To recharge is very expensive, and this is the unoccupied side of the building. Chris, please take over.
Yep, so it's the unoccupied side, we do have a tenant on floor A, that's the church, that's right over here. Again, because none of these buildings were meant to be split, technically 2 of the offices on the floor A side are connected to the AC on the other side, so that's what they're complaining about. I get it, but I've been very frank with them that we don't have money for it, and we'd be happy to budget for it next year, and hopefully we can move in summer.
What are the quotes we have?
They're attached. They varied, because there was 2 different types of ACs that they recommended too. The lowest one with the best bang for the buck as far as warranty and labor was building and waters for $4,400 plus maintenance.
It's the end of the summer months.
Yeah.
And I was in there today and it was not that bad.
So I'm recommending you deny, so I'm officially saying that too.
We're just gonna budget for it for next year. That's all good.
It's something that has to be done.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it is almost.
So we really don't have to do anything with this, we can just move on to the next item.
Just add,
Table it, just make a motion to table it until next year.
We don't even have to do anything, we'll just bring it up.
Well,
And it's moved.
You don't need to table, you don't need to table it, it'll just literally be budgeted next year.
That sounds great.
All right,
For lack of one.
all right, it's dead. Next item, discussion and possible decision on brush removal. So what this was is one of the items we talked about. We were having a private discussion, was clearing the brush. Our maintenance staff has been using, and probably others, because there's quite a bit of brush, has been dumping, so people have been dumping lawn waste and tree branches and things like that in the back here. So we talked about removing that. We got pricing on removing that, and it's not cheap. We talked about volunteers.
I don't know if you were saying about my kid, my Nolan.
Anyone, any group of
Any
people,
group of boys.
anyone.
I just don't know if they could handle it. I feel like there'd be a lot of.
Gas can and a lighter.
Well, you'd have to have, basically, you'd have to have like 2 adults supervising, you'd have to rent a wood chipper, and then you just need a bunch of people running around grabbing the junk, putting it on trailers. I mean, it'd be good to have a skid steer with a claw on it, so that you could actually grab brush. It's a ton of work. How much was the quote we got on it? $4,000 to get the brush.
I'm thinking school starting and he's gonna be like, Mother, I do not have time to do this. I think if it had been the beginning of summer, I probably could have gotten some kids, but now with school starting and he's gonna be a freshman, he's not gonna have any time. And I can't imagine his friends are gonna have any time.
So this is another budget type of item, and we can look at adding it next year. I really like the idea of finding volunteers. Our maintenance staff won't do it. Understandably, I mean,
They're old. Older.
The wood chippers do.
So, that was the street that we could throw away underneath the bridge at the recycling place where you could throw branches out and leaves. Can't we just dump it there?
see, it's a gray area because we're not like a residence. We're technically operating as like a commercial entity, so we can't, as a commercial entity, use municipal waste areas. So like Mount Pleasant, you can take it at Mount Pleasant, we try to do something like that within our business. If you're a company or a commercial entity, which is kind of how they look at us, you can't. It's designed for the residents.
So, and they know, how are they going to know that a pickup truck that?
Well, you could always, You could, but if they find
Sometimes
out,
this meeting's getting recorded.
yeah,
Oh, shit, that's right. Hey, it's in your best interest.
it's really, it's not something that's intended for us. That's why I say wood chipper, because we chip it, make a pile of wood chips, and you can use it here. Let
Right.
residents come, grab a truck and take some wood
Right.
chips. So right now, I think this one is gonna be another that falls along the lines of the AC repair.
Wait a minute, yeah.
Yeah, unless we find a group of people, I mean, we're open to anything, it's just we gotta make sure everyone's got waivers and things like that, I mean,
Okay.
it's still dangerous.
Well, I could, yeah,
Alright.
Well, I could volunteer personally.
I know, I think if
I
we
mean,
put
I don't
it,
have a
I think if
problem
we put it out there on,
I'm not trying to dissuade you, but it
Is
is
it
a
that
fun.
whole area where they were camping and sleeping in? Oh, that's it? No, that's,
all that woods back there right by the bike path.
yeah.
So it's a pile of stuff that's already been cut.
Several piles of stuff.
It's in like a U shape.
Where is it from?
Is that what, do you and I want, Chris?
I don't know.
I haven't
It's
seen it.
from here?
A lot of it's from our
Okay.
I haven't
Over
seen it.
years,
I haven't seen
years.
it. I probably walked by it.
Tires are gone, right?
I don't know, they seem to, PD school's like a magnet for tires, I don't know what that's all about.
Where we're on cleanup discussion, so if you turn in that first driveway between or the first, not the one by CVS and the Dollar Store, the driveway,
Yep, so we know all about it. We're at the point that the sheriff's department's involved.
you know, all that garbage and stuff, because that's ours.
This is not a new thing.
Well, it's
either.
in the village.
Okay,
The commercial entities are fighting over whose responsibility it is and whose dumpster it is. So Blue Kangaroo, which is in the village, and then that other little strip mall that's not in the village, they're disputing
Okay.
whose dumpster it is. After I went back and forth with the landlords, I called the sheriff's department, and they're handling it as a.
oh, okay. I mean, 'cause there's a pile of
Yep.
stuff from here to that
What,
wall.
what we could start doing, see, I don't know how the taxes work here. They get taxed by us for the back part?
If it's within the village, yeah. you get to-
Well, what we could do is we could make an ordinance to start, I mean, heavily fining them.
But then it's just people dumping. Yeah.
So then, I mean, they will then have an increased interest to keep the area clean.
I think it's
We
the,
could-
Let's look at that.
I think it's the stuff that they won't accept at Valley Village and the people are upset and they just drop it there.
Yeah. Well, it's still the responsibility if that's their dumpster, right?
But they don't, they're arguing about whose dumpster that even is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've already gotten calls into whatever the disposal company that says on the dumpster, and then it's not getting calls back on that. It's been a long story for like 2 months.
No kidding. Wow.
All right, fun stuff.
We can look at ordinance on that one. So,
I just wasn't sure if that was.
for now, I guess we'll just leave this one alone. Oh, update, I should have said this in my report, sorry, since we somewhat rushed on the coyote item. The signs, I don't know if they were replaced yet.
Yep.
Oh, they are. Oh, I have to go see those signs.
Where are
I
they?
I want to walk out there
I have a
after
picture
this
next to the
and
sign.
see these signs. Where exactly are they?
I don't know, I was even.
Well, if you go the normal path between Leaf Sound and that other one, it should be like right there.
Okay,
On the bike.
on the bike path.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Which I feel like I should probably remove the brush and get it gone with the volunteers, because then people will be chomping at me about being coyotes.
How much do you think there
October.
is? Like, I don't know. Is there a way to estimate how much there is?
In the brush,
With the brush stuff?
a lot.
A lot.
Can we see it from here?
You can
You
go
have to
right
take a
outside
walk
and take
back
a look.
there,
Maybe go to that.
take a look at
Yeah,
it,
I mean,
just to see how much,
Just
yeah.
watch for ticks.
Can we burn it?
yeah.
Get a permit, and I don't know, municipality should be burning things.
Bring it to my backyard. It's big enough.
That's even harder, transporting all the way over there.
Somebody that, by the way, somebody that took down one of the trees this year, I think they took it down themselves and then burnt the whole tree down.
The one on the corner?
Down the corner?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
With the crappy signs sometimes?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
To each their own.
Yeah.
I was like,
So, yeah, it took them like
Charles
a
was
week,
like, whoa, there.
but they cut it down. And yeah, they just burned it.
Probably
Is that up front?
did it
Right?
something advocating to the board.
Oh my God. All right, yikes. Let's continue on.
Okay.
We're keeping a brisk pace, it's very good. Next, we're gonna talk about, planning commission and Mr. Nick Loomis. Anyone who was at the last meeting will remember Mr. Loomis, they were talking about their fence. They're a very energetic couple, He seems to be a good guy, seems to be very interested in joining the planning commission, although the planning commission does not meet all that often, but he's, in my opinion, a good guy to fill the spot.
So he's filling the spot of somebody who needed it.
What was the name?
And
He's an
the
engineer.
Mayor's on Taylor, no, he's a trucker.
Oh, I thought he was the engineer.
Trucker.
Who's the engineer?
I don't know.
No, that was before, we don't have an engineer.
Where's Tom Taylor? Tom Taylor. He's still.
All right, does anyone have any questions about Mr. Loomis? No way.
The young guy, that's no golf, I don't know who he is. I can't remember who he is. There's a guy who's very, like,
With Cadillac in front of me, and you're gonna ride the dog.
You can't trust people with Cadillacs.
No, he's a nice guy, wants a good mom.
I had an 86 baby blue Cadillac.
Do you approve this fence?
Yeah, you don't know what you got till it's done. We will need someone to move.
I'll move to appoint Nick Lewis to the planning commission for a term to expire April of 2024.
Excellent motion. We have a first by trustee Hinkle. Is there a second? Second by, I'm gonna give that one a Gasser. Discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, so passed. Congratulations, Mr. Loomis.
He'll be thrilled.
Last item, very exciting item, approval of accounts payable.
Nope.
No,
Skip
bonding
on.
discussion.
Skip on.
Oh.
Right on over it.
Oh, God, I wish I did skip it. All right, 2021 bonding discussion.
I'm gonna start us out here. So, as we've been talking about for years, and I didn't print off a new version of it, but we keep talking about the tax rate, right, and it being stable. The current tax rate is 6.4. With the reassessment that occurred that will be effective for this coming year's taxes, as you know, the assessed value of the village went up, went from 39 million to 47 million. So what this does is that the levy doesn't change, the amount of taxes we collect doesn't change, but it artificially drops the tax rate. So what we've been talking about is we want to take advantage of that value difference. Because of levy limits in the state of Wisconsin, you can't just choose to tax more, that would be the easy way. You have to borrow a bond for it, and that's what we've done in years past. So I went to then Ellers, and they gave us a breakdown of 3 different scenarios that should be all sitting on your, in front of you. Looks like this. If you all want to grab it and follow along with me, I can kind of show you how this reads. So on the far left side here, you'll see our existing debt. So the 77,743 is what we pay for the principal and interest for the complex debt. That will be done in 2025, like we discussed earlier. In the next column, you see the 2020 bonds. That's what you borrow for the roads. And that continues on through 2035. And then you have the tax levy of the 138.57. So that's the two numbers coming together, equaling the assessed value, or divided by the assessed value is the tax rate there. So you'll see that between 2021 and 2022, the tax rate will just drop from 3.4 to 2.8. So this is not the total tax rate, this is just the debt portion of your taxes. Because what gets added on here is the actual levy that we collect in taxes for our normal operations. So if you did nothing between now and next year, and didn't do any other borrowing, your rate would drop about a percentage or so overall. You can choose to do that. I'm not stopping you from doing that, and that's great for your taxpayers. But I would recommend you somehow take advantage of that, and that's what these 3 scenarios are here. So this shows you if you borrowed $100,000 on a 10-year note. If you look at the far right, you'll see that the tax rate would still go down from 3.4 to 3.09. So again, you're borrowing $100,000, the tax rate still goes down. The next page, you see the same scenario with $200,000. The rate goes from 3.4 to 3.3. And then the final scenario would be 300,000, and it goes slightly up from 3.4 to 3.5. So essentially, total tax rate would go from 6.4 to 6.5. We did look at going the route of the state, which is how we did the borrowing last time around. They have additional fees when we do that. So for a large type of borrowing, like we did with the roads, that would justify. But Ellers, to their credit, recommended that we just go through a local bank. then we don't have all the different fees that are associated with borrowing. So Tri-City, who we write bank with, that's who we estimated these numbers from. We just work through them for that kind of borrowing. And the projects that we talked about getting done, if you remember the list that we worked on last year for CIP capital improvement projects, the big ticket item that we looked at doing next was the windows for the complex. We've got estimates on those windows, and they vary between $230,000 to $280,000. Keep in mind, for a borrowing this size, we'll have to go out for official RFP, like official document that gets published. I'm sure we'll get a lot of interest. We've already gotten a lot of interest just from working out. That's nice to see. In going through it with our maintenance staff, we'll probably have to have an actual graded rubric, because if you look around these windows, they're all different and old and crafted in certain ways. So we've already seen with the 4 contractors who came, everybody's a different way of doing it. So we'll want to have a certain way to grade that. Yes, we'll want to pick the lowest bidder, but we also want to see who could, do the best quality work as well. So long story short, that's what we approve anything tonight. I just need direction of what amount we'd like to go for, so that way I can kind of start that process through Tri-City and get it in time for our budget. Like I said, with estimates between 230 and 280, I'd probably recommend you just going with the 300,000. Yes, in best case scenario, we have money left over, that'd be great, and then we can finish up the furnaces that we've been talking about, ACs and things like that. That's my issue.
Laura's letter.
Yeah, and then Laura included the letter as well with her recommendation. She goes in more detail than I did, so kudos to our finance chair. And her recommendation again is the 300,000. She even breaks down what the estimated tax impact would be for a resident. So the average resident's home is up to 185. A tax impact from 6.4 to 6.5 would mean somebody would pay an extra $18 in taxes. For an extra $18. So for an extra $18, you get $300,000.
The windows definitely need to be done. I mean,
When you repair a building, you work from the outside in, you repair the envelope, you make sure that's good. So when you have family windows, that's a major part of the envelope system, so this makes sense.
Well,
I would like to point out the one thing on this letter. Fire exits they're marked. So windows are not part of an egress system, because most windows are casement style, they're not operable.
Right.
So that, yeah, you could use it, but if it comes down to it, you're throwing something to it.
Right.
But we don't pick up any liability from that, but I understand how people would think that. The one thing I would like to point out, because you all still live here, and you want to be able to walk down the street without stuff being thrown at you. So you have to understand that although the tax rate goes down, so if your taxes are $3,500, next year, your taxes, if we do nothing, are $3,500.
right.
Although the rate goes down because our assessed value goes up. So if you raise the levy limit, you're going to be paying more in real dollars on your taxes. So it's risky, yes. Are people going to want to see their taxes go up even further after we just did this? That's another item to consider. On paper though, just looking at it, the 200,000 is the most appealing of the options to me, because if you look at the tax rate, we go from 3.47 to 3.3, so it goes down, even though everyone's gonna be paying more taxes. When you go to the 300,000, the tax rate actually goes up. So it looks bad on all accounts. So 200,000 is a better sell when you're talking to people about it. Don't get me wrong, your taxes are still going up.
So we would have to have a public forum, send it out to the people, see what they think to the villages. We would have to invite the villages here to talk about this.
You don't have to, just like last year as well.
Yeah.
so I have a potential way to approach this a little. So we're in a unique situation where a large income stream in the village are the rentals, right? So part of owning rentals and, and, profiting from them, which benefits everyone, is maintaining it. So we keep the most rent possible. That will offset taxes, quite a bit, because it already does, right?
Yeah.
So,
You're on point, that's the sell of the whole thing.
yeah,
For 30 years, nobody did anything to the building,
correct.
aside from, absolutely necessary maintenance.
Is there a way to figure out what offset we're enjoying based on how much rent income we
You
are?
have a report that I give you every year?
That report,
Long story short, after every expense, we're like 100 grand in the green on these things.
yeah, okay.
I mean,
Well,
especially,
It's insane.
and keep in mind, as long as I've been here, you guys haven't had every building rented out. So in perfect scenario, if you do, you're even more pushed.
Even better, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
The revenue from this campus is equal to our tax base, just about.
can we do the windows with 200,000?
What we do is we gotta scope
And
it
then
out.
you take 200,000 and then you take your,
So what I do in something like this is, so we refine the budget a little bit further, we get close to what we really think we can do, and then you hire an architect. And they put together a scope document, which is part of what we have to send out as the RFP. So then, we get that, we send it out, we put a bunch of alternates on it, so we can buffet pick all the items that we want, if we have a little bit extra from what the base bid is. Honestly, this is a good idea. It's a really good idea. We got a chance now, for the first time in how long, to throw some money back into the campus here.
I agree with
I
those.
think we need to do the windows.
I'm just saying that based on the contractor feedback we've already gotten, that 200,000 doesn't do it. And especially if you're gonna hire an architect, which I agree with, I'm doing it in the process, that's gonna be additional fees.
The problem with these is that they were looking at replacing them in kind, when we're gonna go to a storefront system. Storefront systems, you can go $300 an opening. So these guys are off, because I talked to Scott after he went through, and he says he was looking at in-kind replacements. We're not doing that.
So you want to change, for instance, would you change things in the building?
Oh, so storefront is, just think every time you go into the store, you see that black anodized aluminum. There's a reason everyone uses that. It lasts forever. And it's just great, it's cheap to repair, and that's why everyone uses it. So we'll go from the wood, we've got a residential style window system in all the buildings.
Right.
The most expensive part is gonna be what they call the clear stories, which is the glass panels that go up like 8 feet, 10 feet. Those are more expensive. But do we need to have full glass on those? That's what I'm saying, we get an architect involved and say, hey, we figure out a way to fake this so that it looks the same, and we only need windows at 6 foot to 8 foot, something like that. There's ways to make this cheaper. That's why 200,000, that's a good chunk to throw at this. And then we could even throw some more money at this too. It's not a lot.
I say that we go with what we have, and we're talking about it, is that finally at the table? Because we're talking about these windows and other things for a long time. And the opportunity is lacking. And, start high and hopefully get to that 200,000. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff that goes into these buildings, and
You know what we could do too? Is we could do this, and then honestly, if we're just gonna keep the rate the same, we could just budget to spend the extra and get a little bit more juice out of taxes. Because we're not gonna bounce off the levy limit, because the levy limit's 3.4, so in the 200,000 scenario, if we go to 3.3, we could just budget more and then just collect more taxes.
But no, you can't do that. That's exactly why you're doing the bond. You can't just collect more through the regular tax levy.
But I thought a reassessment allows that.
No, you can do that with like net new construction. So if there's new construction, then that's what allows to increase your levy. And there's no new construction in the village. The assessment only allows this kind of thing. Because the state's gonna say, you can only tax so much, get so much money from the population, period. And that's been pretty much stagnant and the same. So in order to get more, you have to move our this other way. You can't just collect more on tax. That's why the rate stays the levy stays the same and the rate drops, because we can't.
Oh, I thought the levy was tied to the actual rate.
Well, there's the levy, and we're using weird terms, there's the levy that you can collect from your taxpayer, the direct tax dollars, and then there's your debt obligation payments, which is what this is talking about. So when it says tax levy, it's just talking about your principal and interest payments on debt.
In that case, then, I, 200,000, I'd say we do what we can with it. But I mean, it's a group decision.
Is it safe to say that not every, like the small windows, do they need to be replaced?
No,
Okay.
these are as simple
So
as
is
it
it,
is.
and you said creating a rubric that will somehow, some way determine what windows really need to be replaced?
Well, you
And
try and go,
what buildings? I'm sorry?
you try and go for the whole building.
Yeah, so where do we want to start up with the main buildings, the money generating buildings, right? And then with that rubric, window by window, no, yes, no.
What I would say is you go, like, go to building 2. We're gonna pick on building 2. You do all the single-use windows, so just like the 2-foot by 3-foot windows, every one of those, and we have a clear story one for now, because honestly, it's not operable in any way. It's gonna last a lot longer. There's no leaks, there's no anything. It's the ones that people are using in their offices and things like that. People right here, they can touch on,
Sure,
windows
yeah.
it's on, they get
I
taken
mean,
out.
if the other windows are good, leave them alone and then replace the ones that,
What would be ideal is to really sink a ton of this in the buildings. It's just, the rest of these buildings, I mean, when we walk through the building, 406 is a gem compared to the rest of these. Well, building 1 is good, I shouldn't say. Building 2 is contrast.
we have a starting budget.
We have to make.
So what's the decision? Where do, you said something,
So I just need to know the amount that you guys would like to bond, so that I can go to the bank and start that process.
Okay, so we have to make a decision
I
tonight.
mean, it's not a vote, technically, because I'm gonna come back to you with the official stuff later. But some guidance would be great.
2?
Can we do-
We say do 250?
You could, honestly.
I could say whatever you want.
You're not beholden to the example maker.
Well, 250 would bring us closer to the, you know.
okay, so what did we say, you, borrow us 300, but we don't use that 300. We end up using 225. That 75,000, can that just be returned and this is what we owe you?
Or you could use it to other things.
Like the furnace, the breaking down stuff?
And that's the difference between using the state trust fund, which is what you guys did for the roads. You did that with a principal purpose. This is what we're using funds for. So when we talk about having $250,000 of funds left over, those can only be used on infrastructure costs. So those funds are tied together. But when we're just borrowing, just like anybody else, we're just taking a loan to the bank. You guys can do, future board can do whatever they want with those funds. We're just intending to use it with it.
So I think if we just start at 300 and what's left over is left over, we can pay it back. Unless it has to be used. We don't know what Mother Nature has for us this time. But what's left over, we can always turn it back, right, and pay on what's over.
And although I will increase anybody's taxes regardless. And are we already having our taxes increased because of the bills, right?
Really did.
Yeah.
That's
We're already
So 6 months.
paying.
Already there.
So you're gonna hit them again.
So we know, we send them a letter. This is what we're planning on. This is the outcome. It's been 30 years since we've invested. We're getting new tenants, they're paying. These are the benefits that we have from our new tenants. And oh, by the way, you know, this is what you're reaping. I mean, you said it, Kent said it best. So we send the people a letter saying, hey, this is what the board is considering. What are your thoughts?
I don't know if it's in there before.
No, okay.
No.
That's a can of
But
worms.
just an FYI, yeah, it is.
Then we'll hold the form.
I mean, shit, sending them a letter
A common courtesy.
is a courtesy and, you know, and I don't know their names, but I can imagine about 5 of them.
Yeah.
Already.
Well, let's just do this. Real informal, we'll start at 300, we'll go down to 50,000 increments.
Yeah.
Use at 300.
I'll start with that.
300?
Sure,
Yeah.
3?
Yeah.
250?
Start and then work all the way down.
No, I think three is, I think three is.
Three.
All right, I'll be the one 200.
Yeah.
But then it's 3. 3 is the consensus.
I think,
All right.
I think if with all the things that we keep talking about that need to be done, I think you're gonna find that, and I am I can't say I'm a penny pitcher, but we definitely are always, trying to make ends meet in different things, and $18 is not gonna break.
Most people won't know the difference.
No,
No,
no. And the
most
thing is
people
this,
will
is
not know the
that
difference.
here we are updating
I
our
would-
signs, updating a lot of stuff.
18
But yet
months.
you tell them that this is part of the village, it's like, well,
No, I get it. I'm just,
Yeah.
the decision's made, 300.
yeah.
I would say,
But
it's
Ernie,
consensus.
Ernie, would you rather, are you being a little bit more, just 200 isn't a little bit?
I'm just,
Are you?
as
I know
I
you've
go
gone
through this, I become so anti-government. And,
Well, I think
you
you
know what I
get,
mean? I just want,
you get a lot of people knocking on your door and complaining about things, and I do too, but I think that,
I'll just go with what I said before, I get all that, and people are gonna be upset no matter what. If they even notice it,
Yeah.
first of all. I personally would not notice an $18.
there are some who
I know.
very much, and especially the
Well-
roads, once this actually started, I didn't get many, but that's when I actually started getting calls
True.
and
about this.
Well,
And you
how
saw, you
long-
know one person who was particularly concerned about the cost of road construction.
how long have we talked about this?
That's what I'm
How many
saying.
meetings have we had?
I know
And
how
much
people
information
get.
been out there, like,
Well, but again, if we remind them why we're doing it,
Yes.
and explain to them that, if we did not have these properties,
Yeah.
that we have to maintain, like putting in new windows,
It's all the
or whatever it
benefits.
might be. The benefit to that is it's a profit center for the village, which is saving you X amount of dollars per year anyway.
It's a return on investment.
It is, yes.
And don't get me wrong, guys, you've gone 200, I mean, the consensus is 300, so we're
Yeah.
out represent the consensus.
and how much money did we save in the roads, did you say?
250 about
And that will go to what?
road.
More roads,
We can
right?
only spend it on roads, so we
Right,
can
okay.
pay off principal and, I mean.
But that was just a
save-
wishful
save costs.
plan, wishful thinking, right? And we ended up with a lot more than that wishful thinking piece.
Yeah.
So the same thing with these windows. I mean, we've been talking about,
Well,
since I've been on this board, we've been talking about windows and furnace for the last
Years.
4 years
Yeah.
now.
Ever since I started.
The
So-
windows are,
Yeah,
Got
so,
two furnaces down there.
All right, 300, done?
no,
Done, all right.
So then,
go ahead. I had a question about, and it's left me. Okay, I'll come back to you.
so I'm just gonna recap what the process will be then. So hopefully between now and September's board meeting, I'll have gone through the loan process with Tri-City. So they'll come back with a resolution, or I'll come back with a resolution to give you guys an official approval for doing it. Well, we'll get those funds this year yet, and it'll impact the taxes in December. The plan would be to go out for RFP over the winter time and then do the project in 2022.
Okay.
Because we're gonna be time for a year and everything else. we're doing. So, well,
There's no grant we can apply for windows, right? Just checking. And you brought up to me, and maybe this is just a separate discussion about Mount Pleasant,
Yeah.
had a money that they want to give to different municipalities.
You know what I'm talking about? These are my report, but I can tell you.
Yes,
So Mount Pleasant, if you're familiar, they're in a lawsuit with their tourism dollars, real with scene. Long story short, they called all the administrators in for a meeting, and they would like to create an actual tourism commission that would just hand out grant monies for tourism initiatives throughout the county. And I shouldn't say this on live TV, but they're obviously doing it to prove their point with the overseeing stuff. The benefit is that everybody can apply for it. And so it's very open-ended, it's for anything that would generate tourism within the county. So Ally and I talked about, well, how can we talk about this complex and the benefits that it brings with the events that we do for hall rentals, the gym rentals that we do, the festivals, events that we do outside, and all that stuff generates people coming into the city. So I think we can argue for a portion of that monies. So that's what we're doing.
For sure.
we should look at maybe in the next year or so, concerts at the park.
Or we're thinking an art fair.
Yeah.
We're thinking an art fair out front.
Once a month.
I'd love to do a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Toll booth, Taylor.
Old, that's old.
All right.
What else we wanna fix after we get that, a toll booth on Taylor after a year, right?
I like a toll booth.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, anything else on the bonding discussion? All right, moving on to the last exciting item, approval of accounts payable.
Make a motion to,
I move.
I know.
I move to make a motion?
No.
To approve the accounts payable?
I move to approve.
I move to approve the approval of the accounts payable.
All right, we'll take that.
All right.
We have a motion by trustee Johnson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gasser, all in favor? Aye, all opposed? Guys have it so fast. We're adjourned.
Excellent.